Well, welcome everybody. We're here on the Sell More Summit Action Plan Review Hangout. And of course, I have Dave Van Hoos with me. Say hi, Dave.
Hey, my friend.
All right. Well, today we're going to do something which is really more important than the entire event itself, which is if you learned every single thing that Dave, if he could download everything into your brain and you could literally know everything he knows about creating great presentations, actually creating them and actually creating the best events and creating the best funnels and everything you learned at the event, let me ask you a question. If you didn't do something with it, what would that be worth? It would be worth nothing, right? So today what we're going to do is we're going to do a follow-up on the action plan, and Dave's going to make sure that you are taking action on it, that any issues or challenges you're having trouble blocking is going to happen. So what we want to do is we want you to just take some notes, make sure you get some paper and pencil there ready, and kind of get ready to get going. I think I have something playing in the background on my side. So Dave, I'm going to let you take it away for a second, and while I turn this off on my side so everybody can hear. And so here you go, Dave. You're on.
Well, thank you, my friend. Well, my friends, everybody that's on here today, what I wanted to do is the universe doesn't pay us for what we know, it pays us for what we do. And one of the things, I've been in this industry for a decade, is that a lot of people go to seminars, they learn all these different strategies, and then they get back to the office and they're by themselves, and they need kind of just more of an accountability, more of an action plan. So what I wanted to do is take the time out of the day to really help us focus on clearly what we need to do. And for me, it's a big frustration because I know exactly what people need to do. So what I wanted to do was take the time to really help you get more focused and really get the revenue generating activities. I've studied success and how the mind works, and I know the monkey mind wants to stop us from stepping into our greatness. And I think that's the biggest thing that God has asked me to do is I've got to empower leaders to empower the world. If leaders don't have a successful organization, then they can't help the world. And so I wanted to go over some of the more important things. So I'm going to take my coat off and I want to get to work. What do you think, Mark?
I think that sounds fantastic. Ultimately, we have to take action or die, right? I mean, if we don't move, we're basically dead. So I know that you're going to be, in that sense, motivating us, even though we have to really have that self-internalized motivation. But at the same time, when you have somebody though like yourself who can actually hold somebody's hand, help them get rid of the roadblocks, overcome the challenges, deal with some of the issues that they deal with when in a situation where they're, maybe a little, having a hard time getting on stage or calling people to get on stage or whatever it is that they're trying to do. I know you're the guy to help them get it done. So let's make it happen.
Well, let's start with what I think is what I want to challenge everybody on, which is self-mastery. And what I mean by that is to be a master at something is you got to practice. You've got to empower yourself, and you got to put the 10,000 hours in. And so as a business owner, speaker, and author, what I want to challenge you to do is to really empower yourself to have mastery. And very few people have mastered the art of speaking. And so what my conversation was going to be here about for the next 30 minutes is really empowering yourself and really challenging you. Now, the other thing I want us to understand is, up on my board here, is I want to kind of go over what I call the triangle of success. In my triangle of success, one of the things is real big in any business is marketing. Okay? Very few business owners or speakers have really mastered the art of marketing. If you master marketing, you can master getting customers, getting business. Very few people know anything about marketing. Target marketing, getting a customer. How do you attract more people to you? And there's so many different vehicles. So I want you to really become a master at marketing. And if you don't want to become the master at marketing, do what I did. Find somebody like Dustin who does. Because really the foundation of business is marketing. Then after marketing, we're attracting the people to us. The second part of the triangle is sales. Now, I know sales is a bad word, and I know nobody wants to sell. In fact, I'm probably the hatest man in the speaking seminar because Dave Van Hoos teaches sales training, and he teaches people how to get customers. But my friends, honestly, if we own a business, we've got to get customers and we've got to sell. Now, to me, selling is a transfer and even exchange. There is nothing wrong with selling. Okay? Now, I know the mind wants to stop us and make all kinds of things up. Selling is bad, but if we don't sell anything, nothing's going to happen.
Hey, Dave, can I say something real quick?
Yeah, please.
It's really important. All of us here want to change the world. We have maybe a product or service. Maybe we have an idea. Maybe we're speakers or authors, and we actually sell like intangibles like knowledge or advice or coaching or whatever it may be. But the fact is, if you're going to make a difference to those people need to be convinced that they need to change, that they need to grow, that they need to do something different, that they need to invest their time, money, and effort, their blood, sweat, and tears into doing something different. So if you don't do it, they won't do it. They won't change. They won't do anything. So you're actually doing them a huge disservice by not figuring out a way to transfer them from where they're at to making a decision to do something different. And of course, that takes that time, money, and effort to make that happen. So go ahead, Dave.
Well, and Mark, and we bring up a good point. The number one reason why businesses fail is a lack of sales. And so the statistics of owning a business, you know what's crazy, Mark, is we're better off taking all our money, our family's money, and our family's money, going to Vegas and putting all our money on black and risking it there than to start a business. That is the statistic. It's
amazing. It's amazing.
But we don't want to be gamblers. And what we want to know is what the biggest statistic is lack of sales. So one of the things that we have to really talk about is, so how are you going to get a customer? Now, I think there's really three major ways to get a customer. Number one is obviously speaking. I think it's the easiest and most lucrative thing you can do is speaking on stages. The number two is through webinars and Google Hangouts. It's another great way, Mark, you talked about that at our event, of how to get customers using mega Hangouts and also webinars. The third way you've got to look at the strategy for your business is then, if you're not going to get up on stage or on a webinar, then we've got to have a salesperson or a sales team to close our sales. And we've got to get good at this. Actually, we don't got to get good, we got to get great at this, because we've got to get our customers. Then, after we get our sales going, the next thing we've really got to create in our business is systems. Okay? So we've got marketing, sales, and systems in your success. Now, for me, what systems stands for is save yourself time, energy, and money. That's what the acronym of system is for me. Now, in our business, we've got a system, a checklist for everything. And what I want everybody to do is empower yourself to have a system-based business, not a people-based business. And what happens is it takes the pressure off you, it really helps you duplicate, and it really helps you. So one of the easiest ways I think of how to create systems is just once a week, just create one new system in your business. One new checklist, one new procedure. Take a look at what you did at the full week and create one system on Friday before you leave the office. And I think that will really empower you. So marketing, sales, and systems can really give you what I call the success formula. Now, at our event, we went over a lot of different strategies, so I want to bring everybody back to the event. We went over the first day of the event, we mastermind people's businesses so that you can practically see what's happening in the industry. Then on day one, I went over the business model, the staircase for success, and the steps of what your customer life path should look like. Then after that, I talked about how to write an irresistible offer using the hot button close technique. Then we had some TED Talks where people came in and we did some panels. Then on the second day, I spent a full half day just on learning how to become a presentainer using NLP, using trial closes, scotomas, presuppositions, which are very, very powerful. Then we talked about how to build your coaching business. We talked about how to build your big back end. And Roland talked about how to build funnels. So there's a lot of different strategies that you learned. And then obviously Mark talked about Google Hangouts. So now you've got all these strategies, all these concepts and resources. And so what I wanted to do is go over our action plan. For some of you who didn't make it to the end, what we did is we created an action plan. Now, what I wanted to do was go over this action plan, give you some strategies, give you some tools to really help you maximize and hold you accountable to get done what you need to get done. So that's what I want to kind of do. Mark, anything else you want to just bring up real quick?
Okay. Actually, you cut in and out for a second. I heard Mark, and then I did not hear the rest of the sentence.
Really, let me ask this question. Well, what are one of the two biggest takeaways you had from our event, or ahas that you can share with the group that you implemented in your business?
Absolutely. I'll tell you what. Well, the number one thing is that I had actually, yes, Dave knows, one of my last events was the Joint Venture Summit that I held back in March, and it was the first event I did in like 7 years. I had a big summit about 7 years ago in the real estate space, but the fact is I did this, and I haven't done it for a while, and he was there, he was supporting me, and the whole bit, I had a ton of speakers, and I did it all wrong, and all kinds of errors happened, all kinds of mistakes happened, and Dave said, Mark, you got to come to one of my events. Just come, check to see what it is, see how I do it. And I went to one like in April, I think March or April, and then I went to this last one, and I said, you know what? I probably have 50 pages of notes. I have so many details of everything that he did, every little nuance of what he's doing, and I'm taking action on it. In fact, I was going to originally have a second Joint Venture Summit, which is more of a public event to marketers and people like that, but I decided to actually do a different event, and literally I took it, I said, you know what? I'm going to take the date that I was going to cancel my other event and have another event, and I got one coming up next month. Actually, Dave's going to be there as well. But it's like night and day difference. The most important thing is that you take action. The most important thing is that you move. I mean, with no momentum, nothing gets anywhere. You have to start pushing. You have to start taking the first steps. You have to start thinking about it, putting your mindset in the right place. If you don't know, the answers, look back at your notes. Get going on it, because ultimately, it's about. It's about going forward, not letting anything stop you. I've actually, like I said, I have a big event. We rented out the Queen Mary in Long Beach for an event I've been wanting to do for a couple of years now. And I'm taking action on it. That's what I got. I got excited about taking action, and that's what I did. That was the biggest thing I had to do. I could probably give you more, but that was my favorite one.
Well, I'm very blessed, Mark. I took a personality test called the Kobe, and it talks about you a quick start, a fact finder, follow through. Well, on there from 0 to 10, I was a 9 quick start.
Wow, that's awesome.
Then paralysis of analysis. As soon as something comes to my mind, I'm automatically taking action. So I'm very blessed at that. Now, I'm very not blessed at the other part, and that's why I have a team put together to really help me really grow the best organization. So what I wanted to do is go over everybody's implementation plan. And also, I wanted to see if we, Mark, have any live challenges that people are facing that they want to come on and ask me. So what I want to create here is a space in a training to help everybody on this webinar, Google Hangout. So let us know.
Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do something kind of neat here. First of all, if you have any questions, right below this video, you should see a place for you to type in your questions. If you have them, I'll feed them to Dave. While he's talking, I kind of gather the questions so that I can get them to you. And if Dave wants, we can even, if you have something you think would be better to interact with Dave, I can even possibly invite you in here if it makes better sense for your type of question. So
well, let's make sure we get all the questions answered, and if somebody wants to come on and ask a big challenging question or they miss something out, let's make sure we cover that with our time. So,
Okay.
uh, let's go ahead.
I'll go get those right now, and I'll be back with you in a minute. So you got a couple minutes until I can start gathering them.
Okay. So let me know what your biggest challenge is. Is obviously you're back at the office, back at the house. You're out there in the real world. What are your biggest challenges? I believe that there is an answer to every challenge. There is no problems. There's challenges. So one of the big things we talked about in our implementation plan that I have right here, and if you weren't on the last day, we went over this. If you were, great. And if you need this copy of this implementation plan, this sheet that I got here, just email Caroline@speakingempire.com. I don't know if Mark, you can put that, and I'll make sure Caroline gets you one of this action plans so you have a little checklist to go over. So one of the things that I've challenged myself to do, and I got this from my sports background, is every single day is to improve every single day. And so on our action plan, I challenge everybody to ask the question, are you willing to improve every single day? Because if you're not growing, you're dying, right? So I always make it a point of every single day to get healthier, stronger, faster, better, mentally, spiritually, and physically. So, and one of the ways I do that is, Mark, is by improving myself every day, is I love to read. So I read a book a week, and then when I read that book, is then I implement the 5 or 6 strategies I learned from that book in my business. So one of the things I want to empower everybody to do is make sure you take up the art of reading. And Mark, let me ask you this question. What are the top 3 books that you've read that have impacted you the most that you can share with everybody?
Okay, well, the first one, it has to be the Bible. And after that, I'd say The Law of Success by Napoleon Hill.
Oh, yeah.
Because actually in Think and Grow Rich as well, but I mean, when I was 14, I ran into that book, and it changed my life. And then I found out later on that at the copy of the Think and Grow Rich that I had, at the end of the book, it said, if you'd like the master class, the advanced course on this, get his other work, The Law of Success. So I actually got that as well, and been reading that for 20 years, and it changed my life. So those are the 3 biggies as far as I'm concerned, and I practice those things to this day. And by the way, I got a question for you when you're ready. So.
Okay, good. And let's everybody chat in and figure out what are some people's favorite books that they've read. For me, obviously for me the Bible is a big impact. I went to a Christian school. One of the biggest books that I read, which is ironic, is a book by Chet Holmes called The Ultimate Sales Machine. Good book on really understanding how to build your organization into a sales machine. And what's pretty ironic is we read it, we implemented it in our business, and I just got done reviewing their webinar, which I'm probably going to get them as a client to help them build a better webinar presentation. But on that note, the book's a good book to read. Obviously, I like Jack Canfield's book, The Success Principles, was another pretty big book for me at the time to read. And Mark, have you ever read the book, The Magic of Thinking Big?
Oh, I did. I actually did. It's been wow. It's like I had the yellow. I remember the yellow copy that had the folder around it. By what's his name? What's his name again? Who did that? It's Charles or something like that. I can't remember his exact name who made that. I loved it.
It was good. I read that book. I'm like, oh my God, why didn't I first started my business? Because it had a lot of the good success principles that I learned. So I think reading. For me, Mark, what I do is every morning, the first thing I do is I get to the gym or walk or run. And I think successful people, statistics say, get up, move your body, exercise, and get that vibrational frequency up. So for me, I get up, work out, go to the gym. Then for me, I need to go to an office. And I believe, I'm not sold on this outsourced VA thing. And I can give you a story. About 15 years ago, my father worked for Ford Motor Company. And they spent hundreds of millions of dollars outsourcing Ford to India. Guess what? 10 years later, it's all coming back. It doesn't work.
Wow.
It really doesn't work. It's like this. Let's just take an example. You take a football team. You can't have the kicker go practice in Texas, the quarterback here, the coach here. It just doesn't work. Now, obviously, it can work on certain things, but I believe that for me, if I was going to work out, I went to the gym. If I'm going to study, when I was in college, I went to the library. So I think an office gives you a space where you can get focused and get things done.
What's amazing about that, Dave, is that on page 1, the first chapter of the Law of Success, it talks about your success environment. It literally talks about your success environment, how important it is to really have a place where you can get on the same page with your team and your mastermind group and all that. So it really is, and we'll be talking about that at our event, but it's so, you're right on with that. That is so important. It's so hard to get on the same page with somebody who's in India, right? It's just,
God created it. Two minds get together, a third one comes together.
Right.
We're collaborating. So I have an office. I'm here. And one of the things that I do on the way to work is I turned off my TV, Mark, 5 years ago. So I don't have a TV. I don't watch TV. I haven't watched it for 5 years. So I don't know really what's going on in that crazy box, but it's not the best use of my time.
I can tell you what's going on. I actually gave it up 17 years ago. I know that because my daughter Moriel was born around that time, and we stopped watching it. And what happened was, literally, because we travel a lot, so we have to do our laundry like in laundromats as we go through the United States. And of course, they have TVs playing, right? And the funny thing was, if you're not desensitized to it on a daily basis, all of a sudden you're going on there and you get shocked on TV, and crazier and crazier and more stupid and dumbed down than you could ever imagine. It's really amazing. But I'm sure there's good things on there in the right channels and the right places. But man, eye-opener for me too.
Well, knowing hypnosis, TV is a very hypnotic medium. And you know what CNN stands for, right, Mark?
No.
Consistent negative news. And people are watching this before they go to bed. So for me, I turn my TV off. The other thing is obviously being in a mastermind, going to trainings, is going to condition you in your mind to start thinking more positively and start being more creative. We are spiritual beings that love to create and manifest. And so on your checks and sheet, I'm not sure if everybody has theirs with them, is if you take a pen and paper out, and I want to ask this question. Every single day, are you committed to improving yourself? If you are, just put that down, check a box, and initial it. And I just want you to put down right now, what 1 or 2 tactical things are you going to do on a day-to-day basis to improve yourself? Mark, do you have any that you could share with the group that you do on a day-to-day basis?
Well, every day, what I do is every morning I get together with my family, and we have what I call family feast time. And family feast time is basically we sing together, we eat together, we study neat things together, we talk about things that were going on last week or yesterday and what's going to happen this week or today or whatever it is. And what we do is we study the Bible, we study scriptures, we talk about them, meditate on them, think about them, say, okay, well, what about this? How do you use it here and all that? And that has really changed our lives. It's literally coming together as a family mastermind, really, if you think about it, and you really start to really get on the same page with things. So that's the number one thing that has affected my life, where you literally focus in a very relaxed, enjoyable, feast-like setting on a daily basis, and you start your day like that. If you do, literally, I have a successful day before I've even begun my day because of that. So it's pretty neat stuff.
That's great. The other thing I think that on the action guide is really plan out your days. I think a lot of people lack focus. They have full-blown ADD, and I just don't think they've taken the time for planning. And I think, successful people plan. And so one of the things that I do is Friday, before I leave the office, because a lot of us take our work home with us. And I'm a strong believer of leaving your work, your cell phone, everything in the car, so when you go home and you're with your family, you're present. And so Friday before I leave the office, what we'll do is we'll do a quick action review. And here's what we do when we run our meetings. We'll go ask, the first question is what went well this week? Hey, we got some Power Day sales, or I'm speaking in Russia, I'm putting a big deal together, which Mark I was telling you about. So I went over what went well, because what you focus on expands. If you continue focusing on the things that are going well, more will attract your way. Then after we ask that question, what went well, second question everybody can write down is what could be more, different, or better. Then the third question we ask is, what did we learn? And then last question, what empowered us? And so if you just do that quick 4 questions at the end of the week, you'll literally continue to have self-mastery. Now, we also do is before all of us leave to go to the office, is we will plan out next week on Friday, leave our intention unit at work, write it down, and then we can go home and not think about work. The other thing that you could consider doing is the night before, really take the time to write out what you're going to do. Now, the other thing that you could consider, we talked about the action plan, is Mark, you talked about everybody spent 4 days, 3 days, 5 days with us. Now, most people don't go over their notes. So I want to ask everybody, have you taken the time to just go over your notes and figure out what were the tactics and the strategies that you'd like to add to your business? So we just got from Mir the video. So by next week, for those of you who have VIP, you're going to get the video of that event. So it will be coming. We're about 5-7 days away, so you can go back and watch those trainings. Let's ask Kari real quick. I see Kari came on, and ask her, does she do any special strategies every single day to improve herself?
Hey, how are you, Dave?
Hey.
Hi. Hey, Kari, you made it. Yeah.
I've actually been here. I just wanted to kind of lay low and let you guys get the incredible Hangout started.
Okay.
But, I love what you were just saying, because I think a lot of times people focus on what they're not doing right, and it's good to do that so you can improve yourself, but sometimes that can really, have a negative impact on people. So focusing on that one question is not, why can't I do this right, or what didn't I do right? What can I do better? What can I learn, from, whatever experience you're going through, I think is really, really powerful. And like you said, what went right and how can you build upon that? So I think that is something that I've adopted over the years, because I used to have that negative voice talking in my head quite a bit, and it did not serve me well at all.
I can't imagine you ever having a negative voice.
I have video. I'll show it to you someday.
Wow, that's been a lot of, it's amazing.
Yeah, and let me say, because I do share this, and you and I have talked about it a little bit, but it was destroying my life. I mean, it was so strong that it was stealing every dream that I ever had. And so I want to say, for people who have that, I mean, I had to do work on that aspect of where that was coming from, because it was blocking me from all the success that I deserved and that I desired and that I wanted to create. And I think a lot of people carry that at different levels, and they don't even realize sometimes that it's there.
I think you bring up a good point, Kari, because for me, I have something special I have to do. I have to empower leaders to empower the world. And for people to step into that space, that greatness, and the subconscious mind wants to stop them from being great and incredible. And literally, you're right, you've got to really challenge that mind and change that. So one of the things I'd like for everybody to consider is, a lot of people are in the blaming, but I want everybody to consider, one of the things I do in my life is I take 100% responsibility for every single thing that happens in my life. Nothing outside of me what was not cause. I am cause over every single thing. I'm even cause of a bad relationship, a bad partnership, everything. A car, if somebody hits me, I know it was my fault. And that's a very powerful belief that I would love to challenge everybody to do, because we all want to blame everything else, the economy, business partner, wife, whatever, but no, it starts with here.
You know, Dave, I want to say something about that. That's a really powerful belief. I recently was trying to change that to be more like what you said. You mentioned that at the last event, and that added momentum to me wanting to change my aspect on that as well. Because, you know, if you think about it, regardless of no matter what happens in your life, what happens to the world and all that, the fact is that we could have possibly changed it. We could have done something that would have changed the outcome. And if we don't do that thing, that means it didn't happen. And while some people say you can't change anybody and all that stuff, well, the fact is, even if you could, that would mean that you'd have to change yourself and do something different than you're doing right now so that they would change, right? So ultimately, if you're going to change somebody, you have to change yourself. And that's why we have to really don't take any excuses for ourselves not acting, not doing something different, not doing something better. I love that a lot, and thank you for adding momentum to that, which I'm kind of changing that in different areas of my life. And that at the last event, it was awesome.
Well, quick story. Fear knocked on the door. Love answered. Nobody home. So, you know, it's real easy. You know, you're the person that created the energy. You're attracted the good or the bad that happened to you, but that's just the way it is. The other thing I wanted everybody really to do in our implementation plan is so many speakers do not practice their pitches. I see so many people unprepared, showing up, not prepared. I want to challenge everybody that is, you know, the Speaking Empire clients and friends and family to be the best. And as an athlete, and Kari, you as a professional actress, you've got to be the best, and that takes practice. She could probably tell you how many hours she spent probably practicing her roles and how she communicated. So I want everybody to know, if you have an event coming up, you need to practice. You need to write that presentation out. You need to know it word for word. Kari, can you talk a little bit about some of the practice that you did to step into your greatness as an actress?
Yeah, well, you know, I was taught about that, and the series that I did as a young person was filmed live in front of an audience. So we rehearsed for 5 days, and then, you know, we shot the show for 30 minutes. So that just, you know, became just a regular part of my life. So when I went into broadcasting, when I went into speaking, I just transferred it with me. It just was a natural part of my process. And I even had a conversation the other day with a couple of my clients, and we were talking about, you know, how long has it been since they updated their elevator pitch, meaning that 30-second, you know, piece where you say, somebody says, what do you do? And you can answer it like this, whether you're talking to somebody one-on-one or in the media. And almost every single person said, well, I haven't really done that lately, which is huge, you know. So I think it's so important just at the foundation of us being able to describe who we are, what our business is, what our brand is, and why we are maybe different than somebody else in our niche. It's so important to practice that. So I think whether it's that elevator pitch or it's your presentation, even when I was, you know, master of ceremonies, I always rehearse it. And my favorite thing to share with people is I have my little digital recorder, and I talk into the recorder and I listen back to it, because when I hear myself doing it, I can go, oh, that was good, but oh, I need to make that better here. And so that's been a very helpful tool for me.
Yeah, you know what's? I'll give you a live case example. And Mark, when most people do their boot camps, when they sell their coaching product, they might only do that pitch maybe once or twice a year. But really, that's where the big money and the profit is made, is in the coaching pitch. And so one of my clients, I wrote his coaching pitch, and last year he made $50,000. I just talked to him an hour before that. he made like 300,000. And that's because we wrote his presentation and he practiced it over 8 times and knew it like that. So that's the difference between 50,000 and 300,000. That's a Lamborghini on the table. So practice, practice, practice.
Can I say something real quick about that? Because I've talked to a lot of people about your Power Day, and this is so huge. Where one of your clients said they literally scripted out, Dave, what you said in the Power Day because you film it. They literally scripted it out and learned it, and that is an incredible technique to take that. Transcribe exactly what Dave Van Hoos says, the master of marketing and presentation, and to literally go over that word for word. And what I say is then you talk that in your own voice into like a little recorder, and you can listen back to that over and over and over when you're driving around, picking up your kids, doing things around the house. So by the time you present it, it's so natural, and you have Dave, the master of presentation, coming out in your own, in your voice, and with all of your passion and your belief and all of that. So, because again, it's not what you say, but how you say it, and you're so fantastic at that. It's a wonderful technique to use.
Matter of fact, I want to say something about that too. Zachary, I'm glad you brought that up because that is true, so true about it. Matter of fact, the one guy I talked to about it, he not only scripted it out and memorized it, then he listened to Dave's audio video recording of it and literally started. See, you use the word script because you know what you mean by that, but I don't know if everybody realizes when you mean script, you're actually talking about acting something out, almost the way it's supposed to be acted out. Every hand gesture, every movement. This guy was moving it just like Dave did it, and literally, without literally creating one word of it, just taking exactly what Dave did, was making hundreds of thousands of dollars with this presentation, which is really pretty brilliant. I just think it's awesome. That was really neat, Carrie. Thank you for bringing that up.
It may not work for all the women, but it is true. I mean, because and it's helpful to people who aren't comfortable. But again, I mean, we all know that you have to be authentic in who you are when you're presenting your message. But I think again, you can listen to Dave. I've heard so many clients, and I know this for myself. You can hear the same thing presented 2 different ways, and it's just much more effective. So that's what it's great to have with a mentor like you, Dave, teaching people how to present their message in a powerful way where people can receive it.
You know what? I just learned something from you, Kari. Thank you, because one of the things that we do at the Power Day is we write that presentation. In fact, tomorrow I'm doing a group Power Day workshop, which we got 5 people writing 5 presentations over 3 days. Is at the end, I tell them that I want them to practice this presentation every single day for 7 days, and then record it, and then listen to the words, and then focus on the body language only. And then after you got the body language down, then take the headset off and do both. But I like what you said is listen to me, and then as you're listening to me, record your own words. That way it really comes out more being you. And I think that's a beautiful thing. So thank you for that.
Absolutely.
See, we're always learning.
Dave, just so you know, we have several questions on the table, so when you're ready, you can go through your whole list, or at any time, just let me know, and I got some questions for you.
Well, the next thing I want to do, because I want to get to these questions, is revenue-generating activities. I see so many people spending so much time, wasted time, doing things that doesn't bring in and ring the cash register. Obviously, if you're a newer business or you're beginning, you've got to be able to bring in the revenue. And, there's so many days in an hour, so we've got to really focus on what's bringing us in revenue and do more of those activities. So for me, revenue-generating activity would be spending 2 hours every day calling promoters and other speakers and keeping in the conversation with them. Revenue-generating activity for me, doing a Google Hangout, doing a webinar, doing a radio show, speaking on a stage. Revenue-generating activity for me would be more meaningful conversations to our database. So take a look at what you're doing and look at your cash flow. What are you doing specifically? What action is bringing you in the most money? And let's focus more time there. And I think people get so much caught into, I got to write my book and do all these things that don't mean anything. So good. So Mark, let's make sure we answer these questions for everybody and help them.
You know, one quick thing about what you just said about the revenue-generating activities, it reminds me of a quote of one of my mentors who was a protege of Peter Drucker, and he said, in the end, business is innovation and marketing, and he said all the rest is cost. And what's really interesting about that is that when you're a speaker, say, you know, the speaker is your innovation, and of course the other stuff is, of course, getting on stages, which is the marketing, right, and all that. And sometimes when you're speaking, you're also not only selling. So you have this innovation and marketing. Literally, everything else is a cost and can be bought. Okay, so what we want to do is, if you spend your time, like Dave's telling you, on a revenue generation activities, you'll find yourself then being able to simply delegate out to people who are world class, who love doing all the other stuff that they should do instead of you doing. So I think that's really a profound thing there, Dave. Okay, a couple questions. Go ahead.
Mark, is also, I see so many people when they invest in certain things in their business. I want everybody to write this down. Success loves sequence. I see people investing in the wrong stuff at the wrong time. And it's very important to know at what time do you buy Infusionsoft? At what time do you buy a Power Day? What time do you buy, Get with Kari on to grow your brand in all these different things? So there's different times in your business when you're supposed to do it at the right order. I think a lot of people do it the wrong way. And they end up spending all this money, and I hear them, they complain, oh, this guy ripped me off, they do nothing. Well, they got to take partial responsibility because they didn't really figure out was that strategy right for their business.
Yeah, that's really powerful. That really makes a lot of sense. Well, one of the people at the event is a really awesome person. She just wrote a question too, and I've got to know her a lot at the event. And of course, she just went to one of your Power Days. She says, Midori Verity. She was listening from Northern California. She says, love my finished product from my Power Day webinar. Special thanks to Dave and Leonard Mello. Anyway, she said, question, how do I clone myself to get everything done? Question mark, exclamation point.
Okay, so that's a good question. So, I think if you heard that this was a push button, make money in your pajamas business, you're wrong. And the advice that I could give you is there's sort of a lot of different things that you could be doing in this business. And I think one of the things that you could consider is getting somebody on your team. Now, I know a lot of people will say, well, Dave, I don't have the money to get people on my team. So let me give you a strategy. So what we did is I got Dustin to work for me for free. So almost every employee or person on my team has come to work for me for free. So everybody has a college, an entrepreneur school, or some place where you can get these young kids in. They'll work for free and get the experience of working with an entrepreneur that will gain them more knowledge than any college or university can give them. So one of the things that you could consider is getting this free intern on or this person on to really handle all the things that are not making you money. The other thing too, I think, is this, is really figure out what do you really love to do and are good at, and figure out, write those down on a piece of paper, all the things you hate to do or don't bring you in revenue over here, and outsource them. And that could be with, like I said, hiring a college kid, getting a free VA, teaming up as a partner. I love partnerships. And to me, a partnership makes sense if 1 + 1 equals 11. And some of the things you could consider, because a partner, both of you together can get 11 times more done than by yourself. So I don't know if that answered your question completely, but focus on revenue-generating activities first, mapping out your week, taking a look at the time management, where you're spending your time at, find out what you really like to do all those. What you really don't like to do and doesn't bring you money, you've got to outsource it or build a system to do it for you. Mark, do
That
you
was
have
really,
strategies
that
that
was, yeah, I think that was really good. If you think
Mark's strategy? Mark's got the best one. Get 12 minutes.
exactly, I know it's like we simply create more of them.
Work
Have you heard this? You do what you do best and delegate the rest.
Oh, I love that, Kari.
That's
That is really. Thank you for bringing that because you know what? Ultimately, people are in a situation where, first of all, there's somebody who loves taking out the garbage, cleaning bathrooms. There's people who love selling tickets, doing whatever. I mean, in any given opportunity, there's people who love setting up speaking events and getting joint ventures for you and doing the web work and creating the website and the pages and the videos. There's people who absolutely love all of those things, and it's really, you know. And if obviously as speakers, not only should you need to focus on what you can be brilliant at, which is showing up, performing brilliantly for those audiences, whether it be in webinars, hangouts, or on live stages. So that's beautiful. Thank you for Kari for bringing that one up. That's awesome. Well,
if we could tell Midori, I think a big challenge that a lot of you are facing out there is I paid a very expensive business coach from Harvard Business School to teach me how to write a business plan and what they call a battle plan. And most people don't have a plan or a specific action plan of what to do. So at the next event, Mark, I'm going to spend a full half day making sure people write their business plan, know specifically what to do, because I'm finding that a lot of people are really get home and they just get overwhelmed with things to do. So we've really got to really get this plan done. And the best way to do that is at the event when I got everybody there. Let's get it done there. Okay. Mark, we can't hear you.
I'm sorry. You're right. I just said that was really a brilliant idea. You've done that with everything else, making it a workshop experience. That makes all the sense to get the plan done right there. That's fantastic.
Because, you know, we get so busy with things that I'm really getting more aware of this. At the event, it needs to be a workshop. We got to write the business plan. We got to get these things done. If not, we come home and we're confused. So I'm going to implement that at our next upcoming event in November to make sure we get that done.
I love that. Okay, Randy Powell said, how do you go from compliments to cash? He goes, the irresistible offer is a struggle for me.
So he's basically a free consultant, it sounds like. Mm-hmm. And it happens. I actually was just talking to a gentleman yesterday who's a leadership coach, and he's a free consultant. So I finally just read the Sandler Sales book. Have you ever read that book before?
Yeah, I did actually. How to dance or not dance or something like that. You can't teach an elephant to dance or something. I don't know, something like that. Or ride a bicycle. Ride a bicycle.
I'm telling you, I wish I had read this book 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It's absolutely amazing. I figured a lot of my things out the hard way, but it's all good. So I read that book, and word for word, I'm like, these are every single thing that I do. But the reason I was saying that is I finally found out that prospects will lie to you, and their job is to lie to you because they think you're trying to sales them, so they think ethically they're going to lie to you. And what they want to do is get as much free information out of you as possible. So my biggest takeaway from that book is if you're talking to somebody, that at the end of your conversation, you've got to let them know, hey, at the end of this, you need to make a decision. A, you're going to move forward with me, or B, you're not. But you need to just make a decision. And I'm okay either way. But people will string you along and hold and literally waste so much time. So at the end of your conversation, you need to just set the frame of, hey, I'm going to give you some value, and if you see this is good for your business, take an action. If not, then you can't waste my time.
Yeah, you know, that is a really good thing, Dave. I got strung along that way myself for almost a decade with certain people. Of course, people were clients and all that, but literally, I got free, and my wife was telling me, she goes, Mark, you give all this free information to people, you help them change their lives and their businesses. Sometimes they don't even need you anymore because you gave them everything they needed. And it's like, you know what? You're right. And she said, why don't you just make it really simple that, look, help them out because you like to help people, because we all do like to help people. And then at the end of it, say, look, how much it's going to cost to move forward with me, and I can continue to help you make your business steps. And here's the neat thing. Now, either way is a win, which means the yes is a win because you make you make 25, 50 grand or whatever it is they're going to move forward you on for your endeavor. And then, or the opposite is that they say, look, I can't go forward. At least you don't have to spend the rest of your life serving somebody who's not going to invest back in you. So it's really, either way, it's a win. So you end up going to these kind of conversations in a very positive way, because you get to help people and you also get to make money for those who want to move forward. I like that. I like that a lot.
And also at our event, we did a process, maybe the gentleman wasn't there, where we wrote out an irresistible offer live. And so if you didn't see that part or need to go over it, by next week we'll have the video up of that last event, and if you watch that section, that I think will help them a lot.
That's a good idea. Okay, let's go to the next question here, which Brett Attaway. Hello, Brett. Hope you're doing good here. He goes, what do your 3 most successful students do per year to make $1 million per year?
The 3 most successful strategies
right.
they do is, step number 1 is, I'm seeing like the Davin Michaels, the Michael Hellickson, is they have a good ability to be able to they have charisma where they're able to get people to joint venture with them. They're very likable people, and people like to do business with them. So I think the most successful people that I noticed have this charisma, this likability about them, where people want to JV with them. And trust me, they spend a lot of time out there at all the events, doing all the things, putting themselves in the event. But I think the most successful students, number 1, is know how to joint venture. And that, my friends, is just literally having good communication skills, listening to people, being out there, and it takes more than one time to really get the joint venture up. Number 2 is very important, is our successful students are doing very, very good at doing webinars. You can crack the code on doing webinars and getting customers. It has so much leverage in your business that you're not freaking out every day, every month on how to get customers. So our successful students have cracked the code doing webinars. Number 3, our most successful students have done is, until you do your own event, I have like A players, B players, C players, D players. An A player to me is somebody who does their own event, has their own mastermind, has a big following, and has a book. So to me, our successful guys, even if they're small events, but once a month or once a year, they're able to get their ideal customers to one spot and then convert them effectively. So those are my big 3 strategies.
I love that. Makes a lot of sense. And what's really neat about that is, I heard this somewhere before, and I'm not really sure where I heard it. It was a client of mine or somebody who's doing really, really well, and he wanted to he's actually a big webinar guy. He's done probably about $10 million in webinars himself, but he started speaking on stages, and he did that because Dan Kennedy said, because he had asked Dan Kennedy, he said, look, how can, what's the simplest and quickest way for me to get to $1 million a year? And he said, speak on stages. Ultimately, that's the #1 strategy in itself, is just to get on stage, and you will easily make $1 million a year. So,
well, and Brett, I've got some exciting news, and I'm probably going to say something I shouldn't say, but that's okay. So I've been really working and thinking about, what do I need to do at Speaking Empire to make sure my people have success? Well, one of the things that we do is obviously write the presentations to have the perfect pitch. The second thing is get my people on stages. So there is a company called speakermatch.com that all the speakers put themselves on there, and then these companies can then hire you to go speak on their stage. So the guy that owns the company is coming to my office next week, and we're going to do business together. Hopefully everything goes well. And now I'll be able to take all my Speaking Empire speakers, put them on, and get them booked on all the stages around the world, and create this platform where there's people right now that would love to have Brett speak on their stage, but they don't know who he is. So I'm going to put that platform together, and this is going to be absolutely a game changer for people. So I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, I'm excited for that too. I know you were thinking a lot about that, Dave. So I have really one more question. I got a couple different questions, but Maria Whalen asked 4 questions, so I'll try to make them quick. They're all about webinars, and she said this. She said, "How do you get people to say yes or raise hands via a webinar, especially if you don't like have a polling option, things like that?" Right? That's the first question, a simple one.
Well, is she using GoToWebinar platform?
Well, I guess right. That's what you should do. Is just go. It's pretty inexpensive to use, so that makes a lot of sense. So let's just. That's pretty the best answer, really.
The one is you got to have use GoToWebinar technology. I don't know. It's 40. We're old school, Mark. We used to do teleseminars.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I don't even know. It's maybe 7 years ago we got the GoToWebinar. So I think we're paying like $49 a month. But I think, setting up that GoToWebinar account, you can do polls, interaction. So you've got to make your webinars an interactive training. So getting them to respond throughout your webinar is very important. Mark, you froze on us. The other thing is I was just actually going over a webinar. I was doing a webinar review for Chet Holmes' organization, a company called Business Breakthrough. And the presenter was very good, but it was only a one-way conversation. And so one of the biggest things that we forget to do on a webinar is trial closes. And very important to lace those out throughout your presentation, trial closes. And then polling through the conversation. I just worked with one of our clients who created a great one, and he put his objections as the polls, which are really amazing. All right. Mark, are you with me? Car, are you there?
I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I think we may have lost Mark for a minute, so if you can just, just kind of keep going, we can talk about whatever. I'm sure he's going to log back on in a second. So, if you have anything else you want to cover, I'm sure he'll be back on in a second.
I think a lot of people ask about webinars, and
and maybe you can explain, because I know with some of the people, they are getting confused, some of my clients, between the effectiveness of a webinar versus a Google Hangout versus a teleseminar. Maybe you can kind of clarify for people maybe the process of what they should start with, when they're getting their business going too.
Well, it's 3 different kind of platform strategies. What's working the best is still webinar. And you think that pretty is better, but it's not. Like the best effective way still to convert people is a webinar. And the best thing you can do is GoToWebinar has polling on it. It has these features on it to be able to do that. And so you can get that engagement. Mark, you back?
I'm back. Sorry about that. I think something happened with the internet connection, but I'm back right now, so we should be good to go.
Well, Mark, you're on the little screen, not on the big one anymore.
Oh, sorry about that. Okay, I don't know what's going on here. There's you, and then there's me. Hopefully that's good. I don't know. Anyway, let me give you a couple. Yeah. What's that?
What's the other questions from Maria?
Okay, sure. Her other questions were this. Okay, on the bonus slides, actually, first, what are the good types of free gifts to give away that will help keep them to the end of the webinar?
Great question. And so one of the biggest things on a webinar is people dropping off. And so a great strategy you could consider is when you first start your webinar presentation, say, introduce who you are and say, set the frame, is tell them that this is going to be an interactive webinar training, and I'm going to make sure I answer all of your questions. So during our webinar presentation, grab a pen and paper out, write your questions down, put them into the chat box over here, and at the end of this, I will personally get on and answer every question.
That's great.
That's a really good frame to get people to stay on. Another great thing to get people to stay on is people love blueprints, checklists, or formulas. So if you could give away any of these at the end of it, would be very beneficial. And I think, Maria, you probably got like some kind of checklist or blueprint or something that helps people. You would get them to stay to the end.
That's really good. Okay, on the, can you hear me? Hopefully you can hear me.
Yes.
Okay, good. On the bonus slides, should you put retail value on each slide per bonus?
Absolutely.
On each value. Okay. And then basically, should you have another question about the stack? She said about the stack. Is there a range that you should stay within when you're going from a retail value to a sales price?
That's a great question. We like to go from, let's just say your product offering is at 1,000. We like to go from 10,000 to 1,000 as a price drop. It is that ratio. And also knowing we've got to make sure we sell them on retail using the 3 if-all statements to really make sure we sell them on the retail amount.
That was basically the questions she had there, so that was pretty good. I think I got one more question here, which I got was a little bit. Let me see where this is at. This is from Rick Richter.
Rick. Hey, my friend.
Hey, Rick, how you doing, buddy?
Richter scale, baby.
Exactly. I love that name. I think that's awesome. So here's what he said, and this is related to some of the other questions you were asking earlier from Midori and some things like that. Any advice on hiring an executive assistant who can help with categorizing and organizing all this information, developing our written business plan, and things like that? Building out this funnel. He's got different funnel programs. How much can that be outsourced, or is it best to have a physical hands-on assistant, and what kind of source do you have for helping you find them?
That's a great question, Rick. I think, first of all, if you could just take the time to step number 1 tonight, and right now, is find out what you truly want to do in your business. Write those things down. Write the things that you do not want to do in the business. And then we've got an idea of what really you need to get. Then you could consider taking the DISC and the Kobe personality test to really get an idea of who you are as a person. Then you've got to then hire the opposite of you. Like for me, I'm a 9 quick start. I better have a follow-through person on my team or I'm going to be in the jackpot. We've really got to get that. I think, Rick, if I was in your shoes, I would be looking for a partner. If you could find a Dustin on your team, and a great place for something like that is at seminars. Our seminar, internet marketing seminars, go to the thing you hate to do and go to that seminar and see if you can enroll somebody in your dream and get them on board with you.
Yeah, I think that's that is so awesome in so many ways. I mean, think about it. Everything you don't get somebody else who's world class to do, you got to do yourself. So you really want to find somebody who is world class at it. So that's fantastic. Well, I think we're at a 2-hour or 1 hour time here. Dave, did you have more you wanted to go over?
Well, if anybody's still struggling and you need some help, you can email Caroline. She's here at our office. Her email is caroline@speakingempire.com. Let us know what your challenges are. She'll be there to help coach you. If you're still struggling, we've got our next event coming up. It's going to be November. It's November 13th, that weekend, and we've got some really exciting new things. Dustin's going to do a whole new talk on people are struggling with marketing, targeting marketing. We're going to do a whole segment on webinars. I've got Roland and traffic and conversion coming back to do a whole big segment on funnels and online marketing. And we're going to have, it's going to be bigger and better. So if you haven't enrolled from that, I'd highly encourage you. It's going to be another exploding event for there. And again, we'll continue to keep doing these Hangouts to really build value and make sure we help people. So let us know what we can do to help you. We're here. Kari?
Okay, well, that's awesome. Well, we have, I think my internet's not the fastest in the world right here, but in the meantime, that was fantastic. I perspective to this, you added to this, so it was really nice. I appreciate it immensely.
Well, my friends, hopefully let us know what we're going to be doing. I'm going to be heading out to California next week. Then I'm going to Rush after that. Then probably Dan Kennedy's event. So hopefully I'll see you out and about at these events. Don't forget November 13th here in Tampa. Mark, that's the event that you came to at the airport. Beautiful place to do an event. We're going to have all kinds of amazing speakers there. I got some very special secrets that I'm working on. One of them being the speaker match. The owner, hopefully we're going to have this deal put together so I can get you guys speaking on the circuit more. I've got the International Platform Association, Speakers Association. He's going to be there. So these will be places for you to be able to get out there and speak more. So you've got to make sure you're at this event with these folks there. So, and Kari, thank you for sharing your time with us. Any
Absolutely.
words that you would like to share?
No, I just want to, say how exciting it is, because I think for the people that are on this Hangout and that are working with you, what I love about what you do is that you're putting together all the elements for people. If they need marketing, they've got it. If they need, speaker representation, they have it. And I think that's what's powerful, is that you're bringing every single element, from the technical aspect to the marketing aspect to the presentation aspect. And this is the only place that I know of in the industry where you can go and have all those pieces put together, so that, this is a great place for people to be able to find all the partners that they need, do what they do best, delegate the rest, and use the sources you're bringing to do that delegation, and know that they can trust those people and that they're going to do a good job for them. So it's great to be a part of it.
Well, my vision is really, I know thought leaders have a very challenging task, stepping into their greatness, sharing their message with the world. The business model is a tricky one, so they need lots of support, lots of help, lots of resources. And so for me, I think what Speaking Empire is going to do is create that platform. So we're very excited. So again, thank you for being on, Kari. Thank you, Mark. And we'll see you guys at our next event. Bye, everybody.